Last summer we launched the new Tom and Jerry Watchlist, and in today's video, which I hope is one of a series, I'll take you behind the watch list to show you how and why they were created, as well as to show you how they can be used whether you're an investor or a trader. This will be pretty much, of course, I'll respond to all your kind comments about the watch list and also your questions, so keep them coming. They help guide our work. Originally, we used to produce a weekly report called the Viper ETF Target List. This one, for example, to show you how it works, was from October 22nd of 2021. Tracks about 120 different ETFs and shows you how they close the week, particularly above, or below their quarterly pivot. So ARKG closed at 74.81 below the pivot here, whereas ARKK closed above it. In addition, we provide you with the 20-week EMA, Stark bands, etc. It was my hope in putting these together that we'd be able to use the percentage of ETFs above or below their quarterly pivots as another market trend tool to help confirm the work of the advanced decline line. So about a month later, you can see we deteriorated 72 to 56, and ARKK was back below its pivot. You can see it's at 107.12 as opposed to 117. So it lost $10, 10% roughly in that period. Towards the end of 2022, there was a lot of warning signals from the high-low analysis. The article will be found on the Viper report, and also in terms of the individual technical readings of the big tech companies. I gave some downside targets, but turns out I wasn't even bearish enough because they went much lower than that. So in February, only 29%. So that was a pretty negative reading. We fast forward to last fall. We can show the new format. Here we see the new format, October 23rd, 2023, designed by Jerry, and with the expertise of Scott Corwin, operates through Fiverr. The Excel expert can do almost anything, so if you have a project, I would highly recommend him. At that time, only 15.3% were bearish, but, just a little over a week later, 21% in early November. Jerry created these formats. So this is the information technology, XLK. These are basically the top 10 components, as of this point in time, the majority were positive. So the way we have the quarterly pivot, weekly DTS, 3-day DTS, DTS 4-hour, 1-hour. Basic premises, so if you have all red, then like in Cisco here, you get the 1 hour to flip positive, then you look for the 4-hour and or the DTS here to suggest it really is a change in trend. Jerry introduced me to the 3 DTS, which I've become convinced is a very good indicator as well. So, this particular weekend we had Intuit, generated a 3-day DTS, a weekly DTS, and closed above its pivot. The table also provides what the volume was, so those in green are above the average volume here, and gives you the high, low, the close, etc., and the percentage change. So lots of data in here. This is where I drill down to every week to find stocks as well as ETFs that I can recommend to my clients. This chart of Intuit shows you right in here where the week ended and a 3-week and 3-day DTS were generated. We have the relative performance up here, which is turned positive here also, as was the OBV, and this came a couple of days before we broke out of this downtrend, and generated around 520, and of course just recently we're at 641, so up quite a bit. For the XLK, you can see a similar sort of change in trend in the XLK. We had a long pattern of lower highs and lower lows here, and soon after we had a doji here and a doji buy here, and then 3 days later we got that positive flip in the percentage of XLK stocks that were above their quarterly pivot. So it moved back above the pivot and it was off to the races. If you look at the toss screen at another Jerry creation, lots of stuff on these. I feature these periodically. Basically, it would take probably an hour to go through it, but a couple of highlights. You did a wonderful job of creating the Stark values relative to the time period they're projecting. So, they project a week in advance, and so you can see these two stars here. The yellow is above the weekly Stark band. What do you expect? A pullback, and you got it, And so we had this correction in here. We're looking for a top by late July, early August. We got a stopped out here, this yellow arrow. Got a few, a buy, a sell, and we got down in here into, the early part of November. A strong arrow here, so this corresponded with the quarterly pivot and the Jerry Watch positive signal. 3 weeks up above the Stark band, sideways, another push to the upside. We got stopped out here, but quickly back in. We don't necessarily follow these stop out things, so we've been long actually from right around in from October for investors. So we've been holding on to a long. Traders, we've been in and out. This is how it looks on the daily chart. You can see we got a daily DTS here, and pretty much not much in the way of a pullback here. And this is another indicator that Jerry's created. I think I have a video up about it. It's called the Stochastic Confirmer. He took George Lane's stochastics and added a few bells and whistles to it. So, but we got a very nice move to the upside. Early December, we got a slight pullback here. Okay, just a number of days. So this was not a sell. This was a stop, and we got flipped right back in. In early January, we had some profit taking, and also didn't hit our stop. You can see these dashed green lines are where the stop is. So a close below those levels will generate, in this case, because it's positive, a negative DTS signal. So looking at the bullish percent numbers of how many of the XLK components were above or below their quarterly pivot, you can see December 1, 91.7. Next week, 91.7. XLK is still climbing. It dropped a little bit to 75. XLK was still moving higher. Okay, 191. December 22nd, 90.9% bullish. 92. Next week, it dropped down to 83, and we were seeing some signs of maybe a short-term top there. We dropped pretty substantially down to 184, and the percent bullish dropped down to 41.7. That didn't last long. Next week jumped back up, at 66.7, 66.7, and last week 91.7 with XLK at that point was at 200. If you do not have a current copy of the sector report, just email me at tom@viperreport.com with Sector Watch in the subject line, and we'll send you off a copy. This is meant as just an intro, so looking forward to doing another one next week. So please keep sending in your questions, comments. You may have some more after watching this video. Thank you very much for tuning in.